Sunday, I told you something that I want you to carry today. You build something real, and the structure you built it in won't let you realize what it's worth. Today, I want to prove to you with math, not your math, market data, real transaction numbers from actual CPA firm acquisitions. By the end of this video, you are going to know that to the dollar, the gap between what your firm is worth today and what it will be worth if it ran without you. So open a document, get a calculator, mine is here, and we're doing this right now. Here is how CPA firms at your revenue level are actually valued in the current market. According to peak business valuation, which actually tracks the CPA firm transactions, accounting firms sell between 0.71 and 1.09 times annual revenue. That's the range. And that's the difference between landing at the bottom versus landing at the top of that range. If your firm is doing 2 million in revenue, that range for you is 760,000. At 3 million in revenue, that same gap is 1.14 million. At 5 million in revenue, that gap is 1.9 million, close to 2. And that's not a rounding error. That's the cost of the dependency expressed in transaction data. Now, here is what determines where your firm lands in that range. Firms that command a higher end closer to 1.09 have documented processes, a team that makes decisions independently, client relationships that are held by the firm and not the owner, and consistent quality that does not depend on a single reviewer. Firms that compress towards the lower end of that range, closer to 0.71, have one defining characteristics. The owner is the firm. Decisions route through one person. Knowledge lives inside one person's head. Clients are there for only one relationship, and that single variable, that owner dependency, is what separates a $710,000 exit from a $1,090,000 exit on the same $1 million in revenue. Now, write those two numbers down, the 0.71 and 1.09, and we're going to use them in 60 seconds. So, step 1. Write down your annual revenue, your actual number, last 12 months, not a projection, not a target, what you actually collected. So for this example, I'll use 3.5 million. Now, I take that number and I multiply it by 0.71. Take your annual revenue and multiply it by 0.71. And with that, I get $2,485,000. Now, that is your dependent firm value exit. That's roughly what a buyer pays for a firm where the owner is the operating center, where the knowledge, the relationship, and the decisions live in one person. This is the transaction data, not an opinion. Now, with that number down, take your same revenue and multiply it by 1.09. Let me take 3.5 million multiplied by 1.09, and I get 3,815,000. Now, that number is your independent firm value exit. Same revenue, same market, same client base, different structure. Now, step 4 is to take these two numbers and subtract them from each other. The number I got when I multiplied my firm revenue times 1.09, subtracted by the number I got when I multiplied my firm revenue times 0.17. And with this example of my firm at 3.5 million, I'll get 1,333,000. And once you get your number, say it out loud, because I want you to hear the number. Don't just read it. That is the specific dollar amount that your current dependency structure is costing you in unrealized firm value right now, today. Not if things go wrong, but as things currently stand. Now, I want to tell you exactly what a buyer sees when they walk into a firm like yours, because understanding this tells you precisely what to fix first. The first thing they assess is the client concentration without the owner. They pull your top 10 clients and ask, does this revenue survive if the owner exits? If the answer is uncertain, that uncertainty is priced into the offer immediately. Research from farm level confirms this. It says farms with 80% or more recurring revenue that isn't personally concentrated command multiplies 0.2 and zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.4 times higher than comparable farms. On a $2 million farm, that difference alone is from 400,000 to 800,000. The second thing they assess is a decision infrastructure. Can this team make calls independently? Is there a documented framework? Does everything route upward? A team that escalates everything is a team that a buyer has to retain. That costs come out of the multiple. The third thing, and this is the one most owners do not anticipate, is the transition risk. Berkshire Business Sales confirmed compression specifically in farms where the principal cannot stay on the post-sale side of a structured transition. Because if the owner is the operating system and the owner is leaving, the buyer is purchasing an organizational crisis. So those three things, client concentration, decision infrastructure, transition risk, every one of them is a direct output of your dependency structure. Every one of them has a specific fix. And every one of them, when fixed, moves your number. So you have this number. It's right here in front of you. Mine is on this paper. Now, what do you do with it? So right now, I'm not going to give you a strategy, not a framework to contemplate. I want you to do 3 specific actions this week before Sunday. Action 1, pick one client from your top 10. The one where a team member already has some relationship, even partial. This week, have a deliberate conversation with that client where your team member leads and you support, not the other way around. Your team member leads. One conversation, that's the action. It's the beginning of demonstrating client retention without owner dependency. Action 2, identify the single decision type that comes to you most frequently. The one that your team asks about most. This week, write 1 page on how that decision gets made. The real criteria, every exception. What pushes it one way versus another. Now give that to your team and tell them to use it without asking you first. 1 page, 1 decision this week. And the third action is go back to the whiteboard test. The thing that will break first if you aren't there. Sit down for 90 minutes and exactly write down how you'll handle it. Not the official version, the real version. Every judgment call, every exception, every piece of context your team will need. That document is the beginning of moving your multiple, because it's the beginning of moving the knowledge out of your skull into your form. 3 actions, all executable within this week, all directly connected to the gap you just calculated. Now, you have a number and you have 3 actions. The number tells you what's at stake here. The actions begin closing that gap. Sunday, we're going to go into the 3 bottleneck types: decision, knowledge, and relationship, and how each one gets fixed differently, because the actions I gave you are just the starting point. The full methodology is the complete path. To take the dependency scope before Sunday, it maps exactly which one of these 3 areas is compressing your multiple the most. The link is in the description. Do the math, do the actions, and I will see you on Sunday.